And sadly, our GameStop doesn't have it anymore.
Okay, we're
Well,
streaming.
I bought the only one they had.
Looks like we're live.
All right.
Ready?
Yep.
Welcome to Nintendo Dads episode 229, recorded on May the 9th, 2019. And on tonight's episode, we're joined by special guest Stephen from...
Take two.
Well, I totally did a Justin then. Right, it is Engage Family Gaming, right?
Yep. Yeah,
That's
he's
where I got
Justin's
tongue
with us
twisted
in spirit.
That's where I got tongue twisted. I was thinking too far ahead. Right, welcome to Nintendo Dads episode 229, recorded on May the 9th, 2019. On tonight's episode, we're joined by... Oh dear, it's 4 a.m. Welcome to Nintendo Dads... I'll start again. Welcome to Nintendo Dads episode 229, recorded on May the 9th, 2019. And on tonight's episode, we're joined by Stephen from Engage Family Gaming. And we've got news on Tetris DLC and Nintendo's big E3 plans. So, Jesse, take it away.
Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Marty here, and you're listening to episode 229 of Nintendo Dads. It's May 9th, 2019, and we have got a full show for you tonight. And joining me on this week's show, as you've already heard, his silken, dulcet tones from across the pond, Mr. Gary Gray. How are you?
I'm good. It's another one of those mornings where I'm fumbling and stumbling, so it's going to be interesting to see how the rest of the episode plays. But other than that, all good.
I mean, as long as you don't have to repeat your comments 4 times each.
No, I won't. I definitely won't. I won't.
Hey, even if you do, it's okay. We're glad you're here. Also joining us tonight, Mr. Jesse Waldax, fresh off a viewing of Detective Pikachu. How you doing, man?
Pika Pika. It was good. I liked it. It was fun. My daughter already stole all the Pokemon cards we got. I don't even know what we got. She just took the packs out of my hand. She goes, "You two don't play," so I'm taking them. So at some point, I want to see the cards to see what we got.
Right?
I have no idea. I haven't seen them yet. I didn't even know we were going to get cards.
I was noticing via tweets earlier that it looks like it's 2 cards per pack. One of them is always Detective Pikachu, and then one of them is like one of the other Pokemon that's been featured in the movie.
That sounds fair. I'll find out if I ever get my hands on them.
So you enjoyed the movie?
I did. I've been a Pokemon fan since Gen 1, and while I didn't play every game, I skipped like 3, 5, and most of 6. So there was a few Pokemon in there I really didn't know. And my wife has never played a Pokemon game, so she's just learned by osmosis over the years of listening to me and the kids talk. But she enjoyed it too.
So, well, that's a good sign.
So
anyway, Detective Pikachu now open. You can now go see that here in the United States. And you said something earlier, Jesse, that you think that you agree with people that this is the video game movie that sets a new bar.
Yes, I think this is, while the bar has been low, I think of the movies I've seen, video game based, Detective Pikachu is the top for me. Like awesome. Mortal Kombat, the original one is still up there, though I haven't seen it recently, so I don't know if it holds up very well. I'll be surprised if it does.
Though, for its time, though, that was a great movie.
Right.
And that, I mean, when you compare it against what we had.
2 years old. So, yeah.
Oh, my gosh.
And then,
oh, wow.
I think also up there in terms of video game movies might be the Prince of Persia, where, take a video game out of it, and it's just a complete meh movie. But just in terms of being a video game movie, because the bar is so low, it's not bad.
Right. Yeah.
Everyone knows the real runner-up is definitely Angry Birds.
Oh, definitely. And everyone knows that the high bar of video game movies is set by Doom, starring The Rock.
I have not seen either of them.
Don't see either of them. Don't even. We saw Angry Birds in the theater. My kids spent their allowance money to take dear old dad on Father's Day to see Angry Birds. We walked out and they're like, "Dad, what'd you think?" I said, "This is the worst Father's Day present I've ever received." No, I didn't say that. I said, "Oh, it was good," but I was like 2 hours. It's 2 hours too long. It could have been. I mean, all the good bits were in the commercials, and then that's questionable. Speaking of questionable, actually not speaking of questionable, joining us on the show this week is Steven from over at our friends at Engaged Family Gaming. How are you, brother?
I'm good. I was about to be offended by that transition. I'm questionable.
No, you're not.
But I get it. You got to forgive me. It's like midnight for me, and I'm old.
I got you.
So, but I'm excited to be here. It just occurred to me like last week. I was like, man, it's been like a year since I've been on the Nintendo Dads. So I just randomly messaged you like, hey, let's do this thing. And it just so worked out that
and we're glad
doing this thing.
Yeah, we're doing this thing. And speaking of being old, like when you're old, you just look for whatever word you can latch onto to make a transition. So that's why we settled on questionable. And again, that was a questionable choice. But speaking of what's not questionable, we've got a ton of news to talk about, including Nintendo's E3 plans and some big DLC news that dropped tonight for Tetris 99, as well as some Nintendo stuff as well, if we have a little bit of time to get into that at the end. So, Jesse, cue that sweet, sweet news music.
And I put it on the top of the notes on purpose.
I know you did. And like even just reading it made me even more disappointed. Our news, of course, is brought to us by you over at patreon.com/Nintendo Dads, where for as little as $1 a month, you can join our Discord server, come hang out with us and chat, get involved in Monthly Mayhem. By the way, Monthly Mayhem is ticking down right now. Cuphead is the game for this month, and you've got 10 days to submit your scores. Those end on May 18th, I believe. So actually,
eight by the time you hear this.
Yeah, 8 days by the time you hear this. And so you've got just a little over a week to submit your scores, but there's tons more going on over there as well. $5 patrons get access to the whole Discord. $10 patrons and 15 get all kinds of other cool stuff as well. Or you could be a $30 a month Patreon producer. There's still a couple of slots for that. We would love to have you on board for that. But you guys are the teamwork that makes the dream work over there at patreon.com/Nintendo Dads. We want to thank you for everything you do. 98 patrons strong as of this show.
Woohoo.
Hopefully somebody will come along and put us back over 100 here in the next couple weeks. That would be awesome of you. Let's dive right into the news. The big story this week is that Nintendo has announced their E3 2019 plans, which include, shocker, a direct presentation. Not a digital event. They're actually calling this a Nintendo Direct that will broadcast entirely on software. They also made sure to mention that at 9 a.m. Pacific time on June the 11th. It also says you will get a look at Nintendo Switch titles for 2019. Yes, Justin, that means the 3DS is dead. Suck it. Nintendo Treehouse will follow for 3 days after that, beginning June 11th. And there will also be a Splatoon 2 World Championship 2019 and a Super Smash Bros. Ultimate World Championship 2019 3 versus 3. And those will be broadcast on June 8th. People attending E3 with a Nintendo account can also reserve a free Warp Pass, which will give priority access in line during their time slot to play games in the Nintendo booth. Certain games, not all games. And then it says Nintendo will communicate additional details about how and when to reserve a pass at a later date. Now would be a good time before we start discussing this to say that Nintendo Dads will be at E3 this year, except it will be surrogate Nintendo Dads, Sean Capri and Luke Lore, good friends of the show, who are going to be filling in for us. They've got booth time at Nintendo. They've got hands-on time at Nintendo, and they're going to be on the show directly after E3, like that week, to talk about their impressions of what Nintendo brings to the show. It's going to be exciting. I am stoked for those guys and super jealous. Ugh, it's going to be me one of these days. Let's talk about this.
I'm really shooting on trying to go for myself next year.
Yeah, you need to. I mean, like, it's, yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
you know, here's the only thing.
If I can't go next year, it will be 9 years since the last time I went.
I probably could have gone this year, but camp always falls that week, like our kids' camp at church, and so I'm responsible for that. So I can't be like, well, I'm going to go play video games in California for a week, and they wouldn't be. No one here would be like, oh, that's totally fine. So,
your kids would think it's great.
Yeah, sure they would.
The rest of the church would
the
say,
Nintendo booth.
What?
But anyway, I mean, like the last 2 years, I've had to like be like, you know, in the middle of camp, be like, I gotta go to the bathroom for 30 minutes.
Specifically on Tuesday around.
Yeah, specifically on Tuesday around 11. I mean, that's how long it takes normally, but you know. So let's talk about E3. Let's talk about some of Nintendo's plans and not our bathroom habits. Stephen, I'm interested in asking you. Let's just start with the digital event or the direct. You know, I don't think we need to talk much about Splatoon World Championships or Smash Brothers, but specifically the direct. What do you think we're going to see here?
I mean, I think Animal Crossing is that. I mean, that's what I feel in my heart. But I mean, I think. I don't think we're going to get the same thing. Remember last year, it was like pretty much all Smash and then like little tiny bit of other stuff.
Yeah.
I don't think it's going to be like that just because there's just too much stuff. I don't think they can afford to just spend the whole half hour or so or however long it is on one game. So I think it's going to be split up a little bit more. If for nothing else, just because they have to tell people about Animal Crossing. Whether it's coming out this year or not, they still have to tell us something. And then Pokemon. I mean, those are obviously going to dominate the conversation, but they could do kind of whatever they want, right? Like, Nintendo is in a position where they could just, I mean, they really could just trot out puppets again, and everyone would be happy.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. This is kind of an interesting position they're in because, like, if you go back the last 2 years to E3, it's been a specific game, right? Or really I guess the last 3 years, right?
Yeah, Zelda.
The last 3 years, it's been
Smash.
It's been a specific game, and I know earlier we talked about here on the show. We talked about what is the game? What is the game? And someone made the comment there doesn't have to be a game because there's so much coming in the back half of the year. But I think that there are some things that, like, and I will totally agree with you on Animal Crossing. I think it has to be mentioned because that fan base is quickly becoming rabid. Yeah. Like they're like, and I count myself as an Animal Crossing fan, maybe not as you know, militant as some, but it's to the point where they're like, okay, you've mentioned it, we've heard nothing else. What is going on?
Yeah, I mean. Yeah. I think of all of the games coming out that are slated for the remainder of the year, with the exception of Pokemon, which is going to sell 1 billion copies, I think outside of Pokemon, Animal Crossing has the most upside of all the games that they're talking about. Like, if you told me that you came from the future and that Animal Crossing sold 10 million copies by the end of next year, I wouldn't think you were crazy. Mm-hmm. For that, right? Like, there might be some other things, but that's not evidence I would use against you. So it's going to sell like crazy. We have 2 Switches in our house specifically for that game. I mean,
it's ready.
I'm not fighting ready. Because Daddy isn't fighting with 3 kids for Animal Crossing time because I win, and I just don't want to listen to him cry. So I mean, we just bought another Switch, so now we can all participate.
Right. I think
I'm probably going to have to buy a third one.
I think 10 million is a safe bet, considering New Leaf sold 11.78 million, and Wild World sold 11.75 million.
Yeah. And everything sells on the Switch.
Oh yeah, everything sells on the Switch. We're gonna circle back around to that. We had someone ask us about Cuphead on the Switch and sales figures. We'll talk about that during Community Spotlight, though. Jesse, Gary, what do you guys think? What? I mean, we here at Nintendo Dads, we have a mantra that we attribute to our leader who has gone on before us, Zach Erickson. High hopes, low expectations. So keeping that in mind, and we actually got I think a comment about that on Patreon. I'm looking for it as we speak on our Patreon post. Cat Janitor asked us. I want to read his comment because it's good. It says, "It's that time again. Nintendo dropped their E3 schedule on us, so we know when to kiss our wife and kids goodbye for a few days, mentally at least. Now Nintendo can be notoriously difficult company to predict. But with that in mind, what is everyone's fruit bat crazy prediction that you'd love to see but probably will never happen in a billion years? Mine's pretty simple. A new Yoshi's Island built with the Breath of the Wild engine with the Yoshi controls from Super Mario Sunshine.
In
Is
VR.
that too much to ask?"
Wow. So he just wants us to write Nintendo E3 fan fiction?
Yeah,
I mean,
he
if we're
does.
going to do it,
Look,
I think he just did.
that's Nintendo E3 fan fiction. I mean, if we're going to write Nintendo E3 fan fiction, I want them to bring me Final Fantasy VI in the Bravely Default engine now.
Ooh.
Yeah, I've said that earlier, but with the Octopath engine.
Sure, I'm fine with either. I mean, I'm not picky. I just want one of the best games ever made, remade in a completely different. I mean, that'll take 2 weeks, right?
Just as long as the battle style isn't like 15.
I mean, I don't know how you could. I mean, I think you're safe on that. Just both
Well,
Octopath Traveler.
They're trying to do it with 7, so
Yeah,
I'm not torqued at all.
But we're not. But we know that this game is like 13% into development. We're not going to play this game
Right.
until 2027. So like, they got time to
Right.
take feedback. Also, we don't know anything about Final Fantasy VII until that Square Enix presser. So like, let's. I mean,
Well,
we saw some of the stuff. For all we know, that could be just an option. We don't know because there were turn-based controls in Final Fantasy 15. You just had to turn them on.
See, I couldn't get past the tutorial. It pissed me off.
I mean, I can't make you like a game. I'm just saying, if you wanted
They were
turn-based combat in Final Fantasy 15, it was there. You just had to turn it
Right.
on.
You shouldn't have to turn it on. I'll just put it that way. At least that's what I think.
Right, so, trying to get back on track a little.
Yeah.
I think they'll
Um,
touch a little bit on Pokemon, but I don't think it'll be a big focus because they'll talk about that a week and a half later in the next Direct that will focus on Pokemon.
Sure.
I think Mario Maker 2 will get a little bit of time,
Yeah.
but again, not a
Really
lot
not a lot,
because
'cause
it will
it's
be
7
out
days
2
away
weeks
at that
later.
point.
Yeah.
Well,
Two
they got to
weeks
show us the
later.
multiplayer, right? Because I mean, as of right now, I mean, it's
Yeah,
coming.
I think they'll
So-
give it maybe 5 minutes, which is all it really needs, and then it'll get a half-hour spot in the treehouse, and that'll be good for the next 2 weeks until we can start getting it in our own hands. And of course, Andre and a few other groups will already have their copy playing it at E3. So when we see their name pop up in the corner, we're like, "Grr, I want to play it too."
See, honestly, I feel like Mario Maker could stay on Treehouse and that be it. And them do a big thing on Treehouse for it, and that just be that's all they do.
Yeah.
They
The reason
don't,
why
they
I
don't mention
think-
in the direct.
The reason why I think that it'll do a little bit on the Direct is because not everyone watches the treehouse. People will be there for the Direct, and then the numbers will go, and then we'll just kind of stay flat the rest of the day.
Well,
It would-
I mean, you're right about it.
if they decided to go through a press conference, not a press conference, if they decided to go through a Nintendo Direct and not at least put a commercial for Mario Maker 2 in that, I feel like that's an unforced error. Like, the eyes of the world are on that Nintendo Direct. They may as well throw a commercial in.
And
Well,
if
I mean,
they don't,
precedent is there for them to advertise their new upcoming game.
yeah. Well, if they don't mention it in the Direct itself, it better be the first segment while you still have that audience. Otherwise, you lost the message.
Yeah. And they got to tell us how the multiplayer works. Because
Yeah.
it's definitely multiplayer. I mean, if you look at the website, it says number of players TBD. If it was 1, it would say 1. Like, why be so cheeky, guys? Just say
No,
2.
well, because it's
They have to
Nintendo.
figure out how many toads the Switch can handle.
Listen, man. So I can't wait. That's gonna be great. That's gonna be awesome.
Yeah. Gary, what about you? What do you think we're going to see?
Well, I honestly think that there's so much coming that it's going to be announcement light. So I think we're going to see just basically a ton more of what we already know, with just 1 or 2 surprises sprinkled in there. And I wouldn't be surprised if they're not like the absolute top tier Nintendo games that get announced. I think we're going to get another Paper Mario probably. And I say not top tier because I don't think it has been for the last couple of outings. So
Just keep stickers away from it.
Oh, they can't do that. They love stickers.
yeah, they've done stickers, they've done cards. Next thing that they're probably going to do is Pogs or something. So you get it.
I don't even think Nintendo can get the rights to Pogs.
You're gonna, or it's gonna be something like Super Paper Mario Tiddlywinks.
It's going to be buttons.
Yeah. So
How does that work?
yeah, I just think it's going to be quite announcement light. I think that if anything, third parties might be a little bit more involved in this one than usual, which I know is something that people said for the last one as well. But I honestly can't really see Nintendo doing too much more first party so fast, because we've still got a bunch of games that haven't come out, unless they start really talking about the future.
Well, you guys are ignoring the obvious game that is going to be announced or be covered at E3, and that is Luigi's Mansion.
Yeah.
Luigi's
I'm not
Mansion.
ignoring it. I'm just forgetting it because that's what it is.
Well,
It's forgettable.
guys, why did we have him on the show?
Shots fired.
I mean,
yeah, well,
you gotta have hot
I
takes.
I kind of agree.
Well-
I've never played a Luigi's Mansion game and really have no interest in it, and it's just kind of out there for it.
We've seen the teaser for it. We've seen something that looked like gameplay footage when it was announced. If it's coming out this year, we've got to get deets on it at E3. I really think that we will. I also believe that we will be subjected to another long and boring segment about Fire Emblem Three Houses. That will be somewhat like
That game comes out in July, right?
it does come out in July, which is exactly why they're going to waste 10 minutes of their direct on it.
Yeah. Like another Elder Dragon moment when in Fire Emblem Three Houses, you can select which party you want to choose and which
if that
moves you want
guy's
to
voice
take.
comes on again, I'm turning it off. Like I'm done. But I also believe that we're going to see some form of large third-party announcement like Rocket League, like Fortnite. I've been saying this for a few months. At this point, I think I can pretty confidently say that I believe it's going to be Apex Legends. And the reason for that points to this week it was announced that Apex Legends is coming to mobile devices. So
Ooh.
if it's coming to mobile devices, Switch is not far behind.
Yeah,
The
because
same thing happened to Fortnite. Fortnite came to mobile, and then a few months later it came to Switch. I think Apex is a lock for Switch now. It's popular. It's something that people would want. It's something that is, that people have already asked for. The developers of Apex Legends have said they would love to have it on the Switch. I think it's a matter of time. I think that's going to be the big mystery drop. But if I'm pie in the sky dreaming, I'm throwing this out here again, Nintendo. This is a freebie, and big thanks to Cat Janitor for setting this one out of the bag again. I want my Animal Crossing Musu game, which is the gyroids, the Night of the Living Gyroids. Villagers and Animal Crossing animals banding together to destroy zombified gyroids that are bursting through the ground, trying to kill them. Does that not sound awesome?
I can't wait for the heavy metal Animal Crossing music that's going to be throughout this as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, think about
Captain's theme in full on heavy
Cabin's
metal.
theme.
Yeah.
Cabin's
please.
theme 80s butt rock version is going to be awesome.
I can't wait to see those screaming guitars of the.
Yep, it's going to be great. And
Oh,
imagine
boy.
all the like breakaway, special attacks and different things like that. You're going to unlock characters. You start out, you can only be Isabel or Digby, but by the end, you can be Resetti. You can be ultimately you unlock Tom Nook, who you
KK.
find out's behind it all because he was charging admission to the gyroid graveyard, trying to make a quick buck. Come on.
I mean, I'm only playing it's KK Slider or bust. I'm playing as him and wrecking people with a guitar.
Oh well, he's in there.
I mean, honky tonk man style, just like two-handed.
Yes.
With the guitar over a dude's head. Absolutely.
Yes. And then and if he's in, Brewster's got to be in.
I mean, they're all in. It's a Musu game.
Throws all the enemies into a cup of coffee, stirs them up, serves it. There you go. At Nintendo, it's a freebie. Just saying.
See,
know you're
so
listening.
excited.
I know a little. I know a little about the franchise, but you're getting into lore that's beyond me. If Animal Crossing has a lore,
if you really want deep lore, the secret hidden unlockable character is the faceless cat from the DS version, where you had to draw their face, except there is no face.
that's creepy.
Yeah,
It's basically the Slender Cat.
it is. It is. I want you two guys. Let's just do some pie in the sky dreaming here before we move on.
For me, it's going to be F-Zero. That's it. Just a box standard F-Zero. Nothing too amazing. Just F-Zero.
At this point, it's just give us F-Zero, please.
In fact, I'll literally take the Final Fantasy VII remake as an F-Zero game. Half finished, not what the fans want. Well, I'll just take it.
Wow.
If it's literally just boxes sliding across anti-grav surface.
I think the thing is I honestly don't think an F-Zero is going to happen again at all in this generation. Like I'm completely in that mindset. The thing that infuriates me about it though is Mario Kart's engine with the anti-grav on 200cc without all the Mario-ness of it is basically F-Zero anyway. So for them, I see it as a quick buck. I think it's like they could put the same amount of circuits as in Mario Kart with lesser backgrounds, which they've done on F-Zeros before, and it's a game. But Nintendo seem to have this thing about not using the same engines ever again for anything. They create an engine, throw it away pretty much. I don't get why they wouldn't utilize that Mario Kart 8 engine to do an F-Zero game, or at least something similar.
Because they don't want to compete with themselves.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the only logical reason. Otherwise, because it especially on the Switch, everything sells on the Switch.
Yeah, that's the thing though. I mean, F-Zero competing against Mario Kart, I don't think that's even a competition in the slightest, is it?
You and I don't think so.
And the 2017 remake of a 2014 Wii U game is the highest selling system in 2018.
I mean, it is
game on the system.
To its credit, it's one of the best games ever made. I mean, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is so good. I want to play F-Zero too. I'm with you. I just don't see it happening, man. But then again, none of us do. That's why these are our pie in the sky stupid ideas.
Yeah. I'm ready for Jesse's. I think I know what it's going to be.
I actually haven't had a chance to think of anything crazy this time. Like,
Jesse, you're letting me down, man, because I thought there was a shoe-in guess here.
Well, okay. Well, I can kind of repeat what I said in the past show. Is I think we'll, by the end of the Nintendo conference, we should. I wanted to be able to know what DLC 2 is for Smash, but I don't think it'll be part of the Nintendo Direct. I think it'll be part of the Microsoft conversation.
Steve.
Well, again, I don't really care. It could be Steve.
Steve's coming.
It could be, they have some options. I don't think it'll be Banjo. I don't think
it's not Bird and Bear. I promise. I refuse to even say their name.
I think they
it's not
have
happening.
other options. But I think Steve's up there though. Is that where you're thinking I was going to go with that, or
no? Okay. I thought if we're pie in the sky dreaming, I thought you were going to say Tokyo Mirage Session 2
I was
for the
thinking
Switch.
the same thing. I was thinking the exact same thing that he would say that.
That's I mean,
See, again, even if they release it, I don't know if I want to rebuy it and replay it. It's because it is
No,
so long.
two.
Oh, a
The
sequel?
sequel.
Okay, a sequel would get my attention. But the first one told the story. I don't know what else you can do with it.
You can, I don't know, you can put Persona characters in it with Fire Emblem characters and the Mirage Session characters. There you go. Somewhere, some message board on the internet just burst into flames when I said that.
I don't remember the name of one specific Persona, but that would be horrible to see in this game. One moment. Mara. Yeah, that'll be awful to see the Mara in that type of game. I won't get into any more descriptions. If you want to know what it is, search it. Make sure the kids aren't around.
Yeah, I'm playing. I'm playing through Persona 5 right now, so.
And Mara is in that game.
Yeah, no spoilers. So guys, those are Nintendo's E3 plans. Basically just block off the entire week of June, or the entire time frame of June 8th through June the 14th, because there will be plenty of footage. There will be plenty of live streams for you to look at, and lots of announcements. Probably a lot of what we already know is coming out, like we've said. But Nintendo always, and I don't care what anybody says, they always raise the bar with these. They always make people talk, whether you want to admit it or not. Even if it's Star Fox puppets or the Japanese president fighting the North American presidents.
See, I thought that was awesome.
You know, they always do something that makes people talk. Also, of note that this will be the first, direct presentation handled completely by Doug Bowser. So that's going to be interesting to watch and see as well, since Reggie is gone. So lots to look at here. And again, we're going to have coverage direct from E3, thanks to Sean Capri and Luke Lore, and they'll be on the show, and they'll have YouTube videos and all kinds of, posts online and stuff about that. So definitely keep checking back here for all of that. I guess the biggest other news that we need to talk about tonight is that just a couple hours before we went to record this episode, Nintendo dropped a press release, and that was it. It was literally just a press release about new DLC for Tetris 99 that is available right now. This is paid DLC. You'll need to update your game to even see it. But once the update finishes, you'll notice on the menu there are two new options, CPU Battle and Marathon, that are grayed out and have a lock over them. If you try to access those, you're taken to the Nintendo eShop, where you can pay $9.99 for what is being called Big Block DLC that will unlock both of these modes. And these are both offline modes where you can now play Tetris 99 by yourself, either against 98 CPU players or Marathon, which is your traditional single-player Tetris as well. And they even mentioned that DLC will be available in the future, and that if you buy this DLC right now for $9.99, you'll have DLC 2 when it releases. But any DLC after that, Big Block DLC 2, will probably be an additional purchase. They also mentioned that a third Maximus Cup will be happening May 17th through May 19th. You'll also be able to earn the traditional 999 gold coins through this. But as an added bonus, everyone who plays and gets to 100 points during those 3 days will unlock an in-game theme inspired by the original Game Boy version of Tetris. Holy crap. I have wanted this for so long. Because I love that original Game Boy version of Tetris. In fact, I love it so much, I have it right here. Look at that. I love Tetris. And I've only recently have I realized just how much I love this particular version of Tetris. It's Nintendo quirky. It's weird, and I love it that way. But guys, let's just talk about this real quick. Not too much that we can really peel back the onion on, but what do you think?
For me personally, I don't think I'm too fussed about the offline modes. Like, I think it's great that they've added it, and especially for people who haven't got Switch Online. It kind of defeats the point in Tetris 99 to me. I enjoyed that game a lot. I think if it was me sat down playing against 98 CPUs, I wouldn't enjoy it as much. So, whereas I think it's a great mode, it's awesome that it's been added. I just don't think it's personally for me.
But they did say that if you are not a Nintendo Switch Online subscriber, you can play the offline modes after you buy them. I'm okay. I'm okay with this. We saw it coming. I think I said it on day one of this thing that I knew DLC was coming that'll add new modes because of how they worded one particular menu. I don't remember exactly what that was, but I remember talking about it. So this is kind of exactly what I thought they'd do.
Yeah, I'm stoked. I mean, Tetris until SteamWorld Quest came out, Tetris 99 was my game of the year so far. So, I mean, this is just more Tetris. And I mean, you're right. I agree. It does kind of defeat the purpose of like the Tetris 99, but defeating the purpose of Tetris 99 basically just turns it into Tetris because then you can play. And so, and if the downside is now you're just playing Tetris, that sounds like a pretty good. That sounds like a pretty good downside to me.
Yeah, because right now there's the only other Tetris game I think that's on the system is Puyo Puyo Tetris, which once you get deep enough in, you're playing in such screwy modes that it's no longer Tetris; it's its own thing.
Oh, Marty, you're quiet.
Yeah, Marty, you're muted. Nope.
Am I better?
That's better.
That's it.
Yeah, that's weird. I don't know what was going on there. The thing about it is, like, I'm with Gary. Like, I love Tetris 99. I thought it's been an excellent addition to the Switch. And again, coming out of nowhere and being, I think, really something that invigorated the online subscription market for a while. But like, I remember, like, as soon as it dropped and I played my first game, I thought, this is a really solid version of Tetris. I really wish that I could play this offline, right? I wish that I could practice. I wish that I could just play it like normal Tetris, even if it was just one single mode. And so I'm not at all upset by this. I think it's fantastic. I saw some people giving it a ton of flack. Like, as soon as IGN posted about it, the very first comment or very first retweet under that was, "Now this is an EA move."
I don't think so.
I mean, I guess it can be interpreted like that.
An EA move would be you have to pay 50 cents to play it every time.
Oh, yeah. Or pay $10 per mode. Right?
Yeah, well, still,
I want you to think
there's a finite number. Nintendo's DLC generally gives you a finite number of that you can spend.
Always. And they're good about that. But I do want to throw this out here that like, there's some interesting concepts that are underneath the surface here, because what people are missing is that if there is one theme, there will be many themes. And I don't think they're going to give all of those themes away for free.
No, I would expect that to be paid DLC too.
So, maybe you'll get one with the next one, right? With Big Block
Fighter 2 costumes are 75 cents each or something.
Yeah, I mean, I will pay for Tetris themes, especially if they're not bundled. If I can just get one. Like, honestly, if they did an old school NES version theme from like the NES version of Tetris, I would buy that. If they did the Super Nintendo Tetris versus Dr. Mario theme, I would do that. And I would, I think the possibilities are endless. But guys, if you're listening and you're thinking that Nintendo was never going to monetize Tetris 99, you're ludicrous, because it was coming. It was there from the beginning. Jesse is completely right. The language was even there from the beginning in game.
Right, it was like
people just didn't want to see it,
because it was like if you look at the stats, it's like you can choose the stats of your Tetris 99 games, or you can choose the stats of all. What? But now all makes sense. Now you have 3 different modes.
Absolutely. Yeah. So,
and more to come.
This is available right now. 2 brand new modes for Tetris 99. You can play offline. No mention of when DLC 2 would drop. I would guess probably later on this year after this has cooled off
the
some.
eShop has a placeholder date of December 31. I don't expect it to be that late.
Oh no, it's gonna be in the fall. They'll do some big rollout
Yeah.
when
Even
there's
Smash DLC 2 through 5 are marked at February next year for all 4 of them. And then
yeah.
So
Okay,
they're just
that doesn't make
placeholders.
sense. Right. Let's move on. Nintendo Switch Online May 2019 games have been announced finally. I guess they were also announced via the website before the video went up,
Right.
which is somebody's boo boo. But these release May 15th, which is my birthday. Yay!
Yay.
And for a birthday present, I get one of the worst games ever on the NES, Clue Clue Land.
I don't think I've ever played this game.
Right, it nearly ruined NES Remix.
Oh yeah, yeah, it really did. If you've never played the Clue Clue Land section of NES Remix, you have never walked through the small flames of hell. It's terrible.
I didn't like NES Remix, if I remember right. So I probably didn't get that far.
Jesse, what?
Jesse.
If I remember, I'm see if people want to mod their games on their own to screw with them, to screw with themselves, fine. But I don't. When I want to play an old game, I want the old game to be the old game, not someone else screwing with the old game. So I never got into that game.
It said it in the title, remix.
Well, yeah. Well, they started screwing things around more than normal. Like, was there a Donkey Kong level we had to play at Link or something, so you couldn't jump?
Yes.
Yeah.
See,
that's
that's
great.
where I went. Nope.
See that
Nope.
that to me is like that's the high peak there. I love that stuff. So, but I mean, different strokes for different folks. You're right. Donkey Kong Jr. is also part of this release, and interestingly enough, Versus Excite Bike is also coming for this. This is the original Famicom Disk System version of this game, which was never released here in North America. It was, however, released in on the Wii U Virtual Console. If you're still into that thing, you can go back and find that there if you want it. But one of the interesting things about this is that you can create your own tracks and they can be saved. There's also a special mode that sees you jumping over like trucks, almost like you're at a monster truck rally or something. You're trying to jump over the stacks of trucks in a certain period of time. And if you're not familiar with this game, picture you're playing Excite Bike, but you're also playing against someone else, and they're on the bottom and you're on the top, or whichever way. Like you're on the screen is split horizontally, one person on the top, one person on the bottom, and you are racing to see who can get through a particular track first. And it's Excite Bike. So I'm excited about this. I love Excite Bike, even though I'm terrible at it. But I want to get you guys' reactions. What do you think? Is this you like this? I mean, I think we all pretty much groaned at Clue Clue Land, but what do you think about the others?
I think the first is Excite Bike's actually the one game that might make me boot this up, because I haven't played the NES games online since the first bunch of games came. I mean, it's one of those things. As a Nintendo fan, we played pretty much all these games, or at least the major ones at some point. But Versus Excite Bike is something that we haven't had before, and it's exciting, and it's got something fresh about it, even though it's an old game. So this I think it's got to be one of the most interesting games that's been added to it so far.
Yeah. So it means does that mean you've literally not opened the app at all? Like you've not gotten your new games?
No, I haven't opened it at all. No.
Would you open this for the first time? It's going to be like 20 new games.
You know what it's going to be like? I fell off Splatoon 2 very fast, and then when I went back in and went to talk to Sheldon.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I imagine it's going to be like that.
30-minute conversation.
Yeah.
What does he tell you? Everything that's new?
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's every single
Jesse,
new weapon.
You excited about this? Like I know you kind of like Donkey Kong.
Yeah, but we already have the superior version available on the Switch.
But no,
Arcade
you
Archives.
mean of the Donkey Kong Jr.?
Yeah, that's been available for a while
Yeah,
on
but I mean,
Arcade Archives.
this is the free version that you get for basically paying to play online.
Yeah, but so I'd rather play the arcade version than the NES port.
Yeah.
But even though
So
the
I'm
NES
guessing you already
port's
own it.
decent, yeah, I bought it. I already bought the arcade version. Yeah, but you know, for as the NES ports go, it's I think it's a better port than Donkey Kong. But because the game it is more horizontal based than vertical based, so it didn't have to be
Yeah.
switched. But I still would rather
I,
I'll still give it a try. I'll do my normal monthly video, but that's probably all I'll play for it. If I want to play
I remember
Donkey Kong Jr.
playing
again,
this.
I'll have the arcade version.
I remember playing this for the first time on the Donkey Kong Jr. Classic 2-pack that came out for the NES back in the day.
I remember that.
And it blew my mind that there were two games on one cartridge, you know. Even though I don't know why it did, because
did you forget about Mario Brothers and Duck Hunt?
I had Mario Brothers, Duck Hunt, and Track and Field on the 3-cart, so I don't know why it was such a big deal. But I remember seeing it at Kmart of all places and being like, Donkey Kong and Donkey Kong Jr. together, I gotta get those. And wondering, and then eventually wondering, why didn't they put Donkey Kong 3 on here? I don't know. I've never played Donkey Kong 3.
I play that in the arcade whenever I see it, just because it's interesting to play. But in terms of, is it fun compared to the other two? No, not really.
Yeah, I think that's probably why I've never played it. I looked at it and was like, so you shoot bug spray at Donkey Kong, and there's beehives. No thanks.
Yep. Pretty much.
So those are coming out. Any guesses? Y'all want to make any guesses on the SP?
Before we go there, I wanted to say it's for Excite Bike. I've never really liked the original game. I think the best part of that game is the music. That I think I read the music in Versus Excite Bike is done by someone else. It's not done by it's not Koji Kondo. Who's the other guy they have? Hip Tanaka.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's not him doing it. So I don't know. But the fact that
it's there.
If
it's
the
not
game
going to
was
cost you anything extra.
Oh yeah,
right?
But,
So
but the game was a Famicom disk system, so they knew how to play the music with that. Better sound chip than the NES. So maybe it'll be good. I didn't buy the Wii U Virtual Console version, so I don't know what to expect.
I didn't either. So your SP prediction?
Maybe like the original Donkey Kong starting at level 4.
To pair with Donkey Kong Jr. Okay,
Yeah.
I can see that. Gary, what about you?
Now you're
quiet now.
Now you're mute.
Yeah, he's on his. Steven, what about you, man? SP prediction for this month?
Man, for all of our luck, it'll probably be something in Cuckoo Land. I'm not super familiar with any of these games. With that said, my comment on Cuckoo Land is because I'm not a fan of it either. I think it's better now than later, right? Like, we knew it was coming eventually. They couldn't not put it on the collection. I think it's better now when there's other stuff to distract us than have it be the last game.
Sure.
Yeah,
it's definitely a middle.
Yeah. No, I mean, and strap it in there with an Excite Bike game that at least theoretically is exciting. Maybe an Excite Bike where your bike doesn't overheat. Something like that. I mean, they play around with the game rules. I don't know. The SP things are neat, but they're random. So
yeah, I as I've said, I haven't booted up the app, but from the sounds of it, the SP things I really don't like the idea of them, because if they change the original game in some way to make them easier or to make them, more accessible, then I think they'd be good. But basically creating another save state, I don't really like that much.
And then just throwing you in front of the end boss. Here, beat the boss you've never beat before because the game's so damn hard.
What game was it? What game was it where they did that with the spaceship game again?
Gradius?
Gradius, yeah. It's like well, if you die,
And then that wasn't even the last level. They put you at like level
Sure.
5 or 7, I think.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I honestly don't know. And having that, the fact that it's just a save state makes it harder. Like, because I mean, what are you really gonna do except put people near the last bus? Like, has there been a Kid Icarus one yet?
So I'm calling it as Punch Out SP.
Right at Tyson?
Right
No,
before
right
the
at,
Mr.
well,
Dream
not
fight.
Tyson, but Mr. Dream. Yeah.
And, or Star Tropics SP.
Yeah, I can see that.
Because that's one that's pretty deep in the archive that I don't think anybody or a lot of people finished, probably.
Yeah, I remember finishing that as a kid, but when I bought it on Wii Virtual Console, I got to the final boss and couldn't beat him.
Yeah. I mean, we've had and now the thing is too is it's not unheard of for a third party to get an SP version too. Blaster Master got one, Ninja Gaiden got one, Ghosts and Goblins has gotten one, Gradius. So it might even be it might even be Star Soldier. I don't know why. But I'm looking back at the list here. Another one that I think is a strong contender for an SP version is Adventures of Lolo.
Yeah.
Seeing as it's a puzzle game, and people are probably not going to take. A lot of people probably not going to take the time to progress all the way through it. So.
Yeah, I like that game. I really like those games.
Yeah, I mean those are kind of out of the box. You know what? The only thing that I really don't like about those games is they're very procedural. Like you make one mistake or you move a certain way and you don't mean to. It's the whole thing is done and you have to start all the way over.
Yeah.
Right.
So that's frustrating.
I remember this was a game where I used to call the Nintendo tip line.
Yeah, there's some of those things like they're just so like how in the world did people come up with that, right? I don't know. Let's talk just a couple little more little things. Fortnite Season 9 is out right now. It is here. If you're still playing Fortnite, I know Justin is. Zach Erickson, our own Zach Erickson, has gotten sucked into Fortnite with the Avengers Endgame event that was in Season 8 and has now bought the Season Pass for Season 9. A couple of improvements. If you're not up on the game, there is now a slipstream wind transport throughout the map, where you can kind of just jump into the current and fly around the map. Of course, being shot at the entire time and leaving yourself exposed to being killed. But there's also vents that you can launch yourself with, and it also negates fall damage from those. As well, which is a pretty big deal. A lot of the locations have been reconfigured. Like there's a new Tilted Towers type thing. There's some other areas that are brand new. There's a new weapon, the combat shotgun, and probably one of the more interesting things that they've included with this update in game. And we're not even going to talk about the creative side of it. Is that there are now these things in the game called Fort Bytes that are computer chips that you collect to uncover the mysteries of Season 9 or some of the backstory. 18 of those are available at launch of Season 9, and one is going to be added each day for players to find around the map, and they will not be available after Season 9 at all. So there's up to 100 of these that you'll be able to find on the map. So every day that you spend not playing Season 9, you're just getting further and further behind in finding them.
Yeah, and my son, who has planned a trip with my daughter out of town for Mother's Day, they're up in Minnesota visiting their mom, found out that Season 9 was dropping while he's out of town. He was kind of upset.
It was kind of sudden.
Yeah, because they had this planned for about a month, and they just went, and he found out about the timing of it late last week.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. 9 seasons in, here we are. Still the same formula, some new things added here or there. It's going to be interesting to see how long they can keep this game fresh. especially with games like Apex Legends, nipping at their heels and offering some competition.
Yeah, the one thing I will say is if you're like me and it isn't your sort of thing, but you have some sort of interest. If you go in now or at the start of season 9 especially, it's very different from when it first came out on Switch. Just the map alone, there'll be places that are completely unrecognizable to you. In fact, I should say probably 80% of it is unrecognizable now, or at least it was when I last went on. The inclusion of vehicles is a huge difference in it. Like, that changed the game completely for me, especially stuff like the aeroplanes and things. So it's worth going in and having another look if you're not sold on it, just to see what it's like now. But I still think Fortnite is at its best with the headset on and a bunch of friends.
Oh yeah, I totally agree with that. There's, I mean, I've played both it and Apex Legends, and I think there's still things that draw people to Fortnite and things that draw me back to Fortnite. That even though I'm not, I was talking to one of my students. They're like, "Oh, you playing season 9?" And I was like, "Well, seeing as how I haven't really booted up Fortnite since season 6, probably not."
Mm.
But like, I keep up with it. I know what's going on, but I don't know. Like, it just kind of lost some of the appeal for me. Particularly around the time that they started introducing all the creative elements and things like that. And I just feel like it's like you're kind of losing part of the game, I guess. Like, the point of it, like, I don't know.
I mean, but they lost part of it, but they gained something else. I mean, this game, because the creative element, the ability to give people, to give kids specifically an opportunity to just kind of create and do stuff, and another place to play and create their own matches and stuff like that. That was what Fortnite was missing. This game is huge. I mean, we can talk about Apex and how they're absolutely competing. But and they are, but Fortnite still has a stranglehold on every middle schooler in North America, right? Like,
oh yeah.
And so, we as grown-ups can be like, all right, we can take it or leave it, but like 70% of parents in the United States probably got hit up for $10 this morning.
Sure they did.
I was hit up 3 times by one child. So but he got himself grounded for the day 1 of Fortnite. So, or season 9 rather. So he learned his lesson. I don't know. Fortnite, as far as like what can they do to keep it interesting, I was saying that at season 5, and they've managed. And I play World of Warcraft. I mean, that game's been around for longer, longer than I've had kids, and they've managed to keep that fresh and interesting. So Epic is smart, and they are smart. They're doing good partnerships, right? Like the Avengers partnership was so brilliant, and it really got people excited. We're going to be playing Fortnite, maybe not us, but I think people are going to be playing Fortnite 15 years from now.
Yeah, you're talking about the middle schooler thing. Like, my son, he's 12. He has a friend that told me the other day. He's like, "Hey, how many skins do you have in Fortnite?" And I'm like, I don't know. I'm maybe like 10, 15. He says, "Is that all? I've got 70."
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, "Why do you need those?" Like, and he's like, "Well, some days I feel like being a hamburger, and some days I'm like a banana, and then other days I'm like." This is exactly why this game is going to stick around, because they're making money off kids like that, who are going to go and beg their parents, "I got to have the Star-Lord costume. I got to need $20 just for the Star-Lord costume." And they say it like that. It's like, it's the last one I'm going to get. And then the next time a new costume comes out that they really like, a new skin, it's like, "Oh, I got to have that one too." And parents just go, "Okay."
Yeah, I mean, I'm the wrong person to ask about it, really, because I did have a stint on playing it, and the only money I put in was when I found out that you could dance like Snoop Dogg. And that was what drove me. If it wasn't for that, I wouldn't have put any money in at all. But that one thing was enough to get me suckered in to put money in. So for people who are into the sort of skins and dances thing, I could see how this game is making the money that it does.
The funny thing is I totally never took you as a Snoop Dogg fan.
Oh yeah, I love rap.
Wow. Yeah, at least
Learning time with Gary.
At least with my son, I don't have to fund him. He funds himself. So if he wants to buy it, go ahead. I don't care. It's your money.
Yeah. So anyway, Fortnite Season 9 is out there and it's in the wild. Go download it. Probably, if you aren't aware, it's probably already downloaded to your Switch. If you have the game, it was on mine, so it's ready to go. Last little news bit here before we move on. A little Nintendo information, but kind of a little because it involves a former Nintendo mascot of the 90s. This week,
kind of a follow-up from last week's conversation.
Yeah. This week, information about the new Earthworm Jim game was live streamed on this past Saturday. Unfortunately, or maybe fortunately for me, in that I will not be buying this. This has very much solidified my my reason to not ever own this system. The game will not be a traditional platformer like previous games in the series are. Instead, it will be multiplayer, as few as 4 and as many as 8, possibly. But they didn't get more involved than that. Each player will have their own controller and their own screen as a result. And they've said that the way they're designing this game, it cannot be played on any other system that exists today. So basically, they've turned Earthworm Jim into Killer Queen Black. Is kind of what I'm gathering.
This is the prime example of something which actually could sell something, and then them completely turning the gun around and shooting themselves with it. Because I think that anybody who was excited for Earthworm Jim to come out, which I understand how you could be excited for it, except it's kind of been so lost and so long that I don't really quite understand at the same time. But now they've took everything that was good about Earthworm Jim, and yeah, I mean, I don't know anything about this. I'm going off what you just said and turned it into a completely different
Correct
game.
me if I'm wrong, Jesse, but when this announcement first came out, I thought that they said that this team was working on the proper sequel to Earthworm Jim 2, that this would be Earthworm Jim 3.
No, they said they don't want it called Earthworm Jim 3. It'll be because the premise will be something completely different.
There was a lot of shoddy reporting and really bad headlines for this one, because most every site that reported on it reported that a new Earthworm Jim game was being made. None of them, all of them buried the lead, which is that this is being made for the Intellivision, which 6 people are going to buy.
So we were the only one who did it right?
Yeah, I mean, pretty much. I mean, there was a lot of, man, the Earthworm Jim story illustrates some of the challenges of online journalism right now, because everybody just said, hey, there's a new Earthworm Jim, and then you get to the bottom of the article and they go, oh, they're making it for the Intellivision, which, like I said, 6 people are going to buy and 3 of them are going to leave them in the box so they can sell it for triple the price on eBay 5 years later.
God, a truer statement I don't think has ever been spoken on this show. Thank you.
But the 7 people that were excited about Earthworm Jim are probably very unhappy.
I mean, I am.
Sense. All right, so you're one of 7.
That this would,
I was 6 other people.
I was legitimately hoping that this system would fail and the game would eventually come to the Switch.
So now, knowing what you know now, would you still get it if it did come to the Switch?
No, because I hate this fad of taking good single player games and having to hackney multiplayer into them. I don't understand it. And you would think that people would learn their lesson after we survived multiplayer Tomb Raider.
That was a thing.
When they rebooted Tomb Raider. I just
You say that, but I'd be really happy with a multiplayer Ice Climber.
but see, there are some
Wasn't that
games
multiplayer to start?
there's some games that lend themselves to that, right? Like a
Yeah.
multiplayer Ice Climber would be great, like especially a reimagined one.
Yeah,
Where,
like modern
you know,
graphics.
Like Ice Climber
Yeah.
Battle Royale?
Yeah, like I think that would
I'd
be
play
fine. But the thing about Earthworm Jim is that there's never been anything about
Yeah.
Earthworm Jim that has lent itself to multiplayer.
Yeah.
So you take these games that are meant to be self-contained single player experiences and you turn them into something that is totally basically just using the IP. It's not even a game, it's a shell of what it was. And that is frustrating.
Yeah, it does kind of bring itself back around to Nintendo because Nintendo's had both examples of that. They've had two solid single multiplayer games, which both did multiplayer games around the same time. One of them kind of worked, and the other one didn't, which was Zelda with Triforce Heroes and Metroid with Federation Force. And they were both quite true to how they were originally, just multiplayer versions. But I think this is something completely different still because Earthworm Jim, if you've ever played it, is so... I mean, a single-player platformer, Mario was as well. Mario managed to do multiplayer, but I don't know. There's something about Earthworm Jim that it doesn't feel like it's got enough characters or enough depth or anything to really go multiplayer. So I don't know. So far from what you've said, I'm not behind it, but I really don't know much about it.
I'm just disappointed because at one time, Earthworm Jim was relevant and it was something that was special. Like I go back and I play, I mean, I have Earthworm Jim loaded up on my SNES Classic, right? I have it in Earthworm Jim 2. And those games were something that were special at that time. They were quirky, they were weird, they were completely out of the box for that time period. And so it just, they weren't afraid to have a little fun and poke a little fun at things. And now to have this, it's kind of like, oh, just why even attach the name Earthworm Jim to it? Just make a new game. So I don't know. That's disappointing, but we can leave the disappointment there. But
I mean, if it makes you feel any better, they're probably not going to finish development on this game.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah,
It's probably
agreed.
never going to come out.
Well,
I mean,
yeah,
it's vaporware.
and they did say they don't plan on this being a launch title for the system. So
I mean, great. I mean, the Intellivision. I mean, I might eat my hat, right? Like, it's possible that it'll come out and that there will be people that will actually play it, but this is not going to be some thriving ecosystem.
no,
Like, this is the boutiquest of boutique systems.
I thought that was the Atari VCS.
no, this one's the television is boutiqueier.
The Atari VCS might actually be produced at some point. This one may not.
Well, I mean, the VCS is going to get made because Atari has, like they still have money. Like they make games.
They do, but they
It's
just pushed it back.
Well, yeah, but I mean, a delay is different than whatever the Intellivision is doing. Like we could probably do a whole show about how dumb the Intellivision project is. I mean, I'm glad that they're doing a thing. They got some money. There's people getting paid. There's hopefully some kids getting some school books out of it. Like, great. But outside of employing people who need to be employed, this doesn't need to exist.
Right.
There's no need. It's not serving anyone.
There's
going to be great for some
nothing about it that
collectors.
says this needs to exist.
Yeah, Sam Claiborne and IGN is going to be real excited to keep his boxed copy in his closet and then wait 10 years and sell it.
Yeah. Look at what I've got. It's $1,000 now.
Yeah,
Like,
sure.
yeah.
I mean, that's
Yeah.
great. I mean, listen, if they'd send me one, I would gladly not open it and put it away.
Well, I am one of those 6 people who are interested in it, so I'm hoping
Sure.
this thing works the way they want it to work.
Well,
But-
and look,
But I'm not saying I still have my doubts. I'm not going this thing's going to be perfect. But it's just I have interest in it.
Yeah.
More
It'll be
power to you.
interesting to see where it goes. I mean, they did announce some other things about it, that it will be capable of having physical media, that they will be at E3 this year, but they won't be on the show floor. But they are planning on being on the floor in 2020 with demo units before an October 2020 launch. So it's not going to hit this year, but that also means it's going to come out in the same year as like the next PlayStation. And
Yeah.
yeah,
I
so
totally
like-
want. I totally want to put out my new boutique console up against the PS5. That's totally my marketing plan.
right.
Yeah, they're
Yikes.
shooting for a release date of 10/10/2020.
Yep.
There
Good
you
luck
go.
with that.
I'm unsure. Are they just aiming this at people who've got a romance for old school consoles, or are they actually trying to, in some way, compete with what's out there at the minute? Because I'm really confused by this entire project.
Everybody is, because they haven't really explained anything yet, other than the highest of high levels of concepts. But what my grasp of this is the system will be able to obviously play the older games through emulation, and we'll have new games developed for it using the system's features. As you originally said, no game will cost more than $8. I think they've upped it to $10, but still, that's not bad. So even, $10 for shovelware is cheaper than $30 of shovelware on Xbox.
Well, I mean, the answer to that is don't buy shovelware
Right.
and find a tastebaker like you guys or me or something else to help you find not shovelware. Like, buying a console just to have cheaper shovelware.
Well, I'm not right. I'm not saying that's
Oh, I know.
that's the reason, but we're also putting into perspective, if that's the highest they plan on selling software for, that kind of puts a level of quality that you're not going to expect to see a Last of Us on this thing.
Right. Which kind of explains multiplayer Earthworm Jim as well.
Right.
Yeah. Well, let's
now scaring.
move on from this. Let's move on from this sad news, and let's talk about some events. Just a couple of things to report here about Pokemon Go. There's currently a Detective Pikachu event going on until the 17th. You can get Detective Hat Pikachu available via Photobomb. There are also increased spawns of the following Pokemon in the wild: Bulbasaur, Jigglypuff, Psyduck, and Snubbull.
Yeah. There are more too. Those are just the 4 that they featured in the article.
Yeah.
And Gary,
Probably.
watch your breathing, please, Gary.
Gary is breathing very heavily.
I've just switched over to a headset because my laptop's just decided to crash. So.
Well, that's okay. You're breathing like a wrestler when you came back in. You were like you were about to cut a mean promo on somebody. Like, I'm gonna come down there and shove your butthole through your throat.
I think it's this mic on this headset just picks up everything.
Yeah, it does.
But-
That's okay. That's okay. It's just that there was some very awkward moments of breathing there that may get us an M rating on iTunes.
And we're talking about Pokemon. That's probably not good timing.
Yeah. Also, special raid battles of field research are going on during this time with Double Catch XP and new avatar items as well.
I haven't seen any new raids coming up yet, so I'm not sure if that got bugged out. But I would expect it to see like maybe Mewtwo coming back, and Charizard. Actually, I have seen Charizard raids, so maybe that. But
All right.
I don't know.
So there you go. Let's talk about what we've been playing. All right, guys, it's that time to talk about what we've been playing. And in true Nintendo Dads fashion, when we have a guest, they get to go first. So, Steven from Engaged Family Gaming, hit us up, man. What you been playing lately?
I mean, I guess I can't not talk about SteamWorld Quest.
Right.
It's my game of the year so far, and as I look out for the rest of the year, I really don't see anything else competing with it. The game is immaculate. I loved every minute of it. there's not much that I mean, realistically, I found a 20-hour role-playing game with card combat that was funny, genuinely funny in certain spots. I couldn't ask for anything more. This thing was just, I don't want to say it's perfect, but man, was it so good. It was exactly what I needed at that time. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Sometimes a game just comes along right when you need it to.
Yep.
Yeah, I think the 20-hour RPG is really underrated. I think one of my best games of last year, which is also on the Switch at the minute as well, was Child of Light, which was also incredibly short. And I think the SteamWorld Quest, I mean, I reviewed it myself, gave it 5 out of 5. It was the way they did the card mechanics was immaculate. Like, it really worked. I think the only time it really failed was when you lost a party member and you would constantly keep getting the fallen members' cards, and it actually made like it go from a bad situation where you've lost a character to an almost impossible situation at times. But they have the foundations here to make something so much more if they ever did a sequel where it's already a really fantastic game. But if they iron out some of those little kinks, and some of the bosses are a bit HP drainy as well, like that you'll be fighting them knowing full well that you're going to win at the start of the match, but they take forever.
It'll take a half an hour.
If they ironed out some of those little tiny kinks, because they're not even like really game destroying in the slightest, then the next installment could be honestly one of the best RPGs ever, in my opinion.
Yeah, I was I'm in chapter 3, and like the very first boss fight, I'm going to echo what Gary said here on this, that it was really hard because in the first time I fought against him, I lost 2 party members.
And you don't have any revives yet.
And you don't have any revives yet. And so if you lose 2 party members in that first boss fight, and it just happened in like some freak, like he kept repeating this attack over and over and over again, which I felt like was way overpowered. And I just had to start over because there was nothing I could do, but I do love the card mechanics of the game. I do love the art style is my favorite. And I also love, for you Game of Thrones fans, that Armalee sounds very, very similar in her tone, like that when she speaks to Brienne of Tarth from Game of Thrones. I thought I was like, she sounds like Brienne. It was pretty cool. I enjoy the game. Great. I
don't follow the show.
Like,
so
you guys talked a lot about. You guys talked about the gameplay. Like, I love the art style of this game. It just looks so pretty. Just like,
absolutely.
After being like I played a lot of SteamWorld Heist leading up to this game, and after that aesthetic and being, it's all like really cold and dark and metal, and then now it's bright and it's medieval and there's birds and it's nice.
You're actually in a forest with greenery.
Yeah. Yep.
So, and Gary, you finished the game, right?
Yeah.
So,
I finished it.
And let me ask you a question, because this might kind of soothe my one limited criticism. Who was your team at the end? Like, who'd you play with?
It changed between the first 4 party members, but predominantly the first 3 that you get.
Okay.
I just kept the first 3 all the way through. I never bothered changing them out.
Okay. And so the only change I made, because I used Armalee and Copernica, the first 2, and then I switched out the frog guy for the mask guy.
Ulrich,
yeah. And so that's the one criticism that I have is that, like, Copernica the game is unplayable without her in the party because her shields. I mean, did you get? I mean, her shields are
Right.
fundamentally required. So I really felt like I was
My-
kind of hamstrung.
When I got the first new book, I didn't get the shield, and I kind of regretted it. So every book upgrade after that, I got the shield version.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the one issue that I had is that really it was okay. So I'm using her. What other two characters am I going to play with? And I felt that like that limited my group comp abilities. I really would have liked it if they had another. I mean, it would have been. I mean, I would have liked it if they had some other options, but.
But you know, that's a throwback to the same role playing games that we played growing up. You know, on the Super Nintendo, like Final Fantasy 2 or 4, whatever you want to call it. If you don't have Rosa in your party, you're screwed.
But
There's no way you can beat that game.
At least those party changes were not optional. I think they were all story related reasons why your party got swapped around. So even if you didn't have Rosa, you had something up your sleeve that would help. You were never left completely defenseless.
Yeah, I mean, I understand what you mean. It is definitely a throwback thing, but that game wasn't made 20 years ago. It was made in 2018, 2019, and so they could have balance the characters a little bit differently. Like I got those like these neat, these neat twin characters or whatever that had like some really interesting dynamics, and I tried to put them into the rotation and I couldn't. There's just nothing I could do. And the card combat, like I without trying to toot my own horn, I'm pretty okay at deck construction, and I couldn't figure out how to make them work. That's my only real criticism with it. And that's a mild criticism because the characters I ended up using, I really enjoyed them, and they were just flexible enough that I could get, have a little bit of expression and wiggle things around and, get the bosses beat. But it was gorgeous. The music was amazing. You are absolutely right. I want to see them. I would love to see them make a sequel. But what I would really like them to do is just make the next Paper Mario.
Right.
Thunderful?
Like,
Make
just
the
image
next
and
Paper
form,
Mario?
just make Paper Mario.
Or image and
Literally
form.
this. Just make this and just make it Paper Mario.
As long as you don't mess with the decks, that ruined it for me. For
Let 'em
Pro
have-
Smash.
No, I just do it. Just literally just take this game design,
Right. I would like that.
just rip the aesthetic off the top of it, and then just put like
Put
Mario and Luigi and Toad and Peach. You need 5 characters. Just throw them on there. Mario has a deck. Luigi has a deck. Go for it.
That is one angle of Paper Mario that hasn't been explored. Like there's been the like Color Splash had the cards that you got, but it wasn't like they were one-time use. Like it burned them after they were done, right? Like a playing card world of Paper Mario that's like with that kind of properties would be fantastic.
It also works in flavor. I mean,
I would love for them to get a crack at Paper Mario. That's such a brilliant idea.
I can't take credit
played
for
this
it.
game.
I can't take credit for it. Tom Marks from IGN did, but he and I said it at like almost the same time. But I'm still going to give him credit.
Yeah. Okay. You been playing anything else?
I mean, most of the other stuff is not Nintendo related. With the exception
That's
of
okay.
I played a bunch of Falcon Age on my PS4, and that's been a lot of fun. I've been playing it with my daughter. It's cute. The bird's real dumb and real, you can make it play with toys, which my daughter absolutely loves. So that's been a lot of fun. My understanding is it's better in VR, but we do not have VR in our house yet because the general has put her foot down on that one. So until our kids are a little bit older, no VR.
We have
but I also,
Labo VR. That's it.
yeah, we're holding off on that until school is over, and then we'll finish up the Labo collection. The other thing is I bought Final Fantasy IX on the Switch, so I could play it at the gym. And because somehow I'm a huge Final Fantasy dork, but I never got past disc 1 of Final Fantasy 9, no matter how many times I've started it. And now I can go to the gym and I play Switch games while I'm riding on a recumbent bicycle. So I'll definitely get through it eventually. You know,
You were playing my favorite Final Fantasy.
I mean, I am sure that it is wonderful. Final Fantasy X is my favorite.
Oh, I love that one.
Yeah, I mean, really, there's not much of a bad Final Fantasy.
This one for me was my favorite because it was a return to what I call real Final Fantasy of like every character has a job and that's what they do. There's a mage, there's a knight, there's a whatever,
Yeah,
on and on, and like that whole game. Without spoiling, I'll just say that the whole game is like everybody thinks it's about Zidane and Garnet. It's really about Vivi. Vivi is the best.
this is everything that I have been told, and I can't wait to actually experience it. What's crazy about it is
Really gets going after that first disc. So
God, that's what I'm saying. I've only gotten literally. I was when my oldest was a little younger. We hooked it up and we played through, and we played it together. Where I gave him like how they do the Final Fantasy 2-player controls. Like I gave him control of like one character, and I ran through everybody else. And then we got to the end of disc 1, and then we just never picked it up again because something else came up. I think a new Skylanders game came out or something, and that threw us all off track.
sounds like my house.
But now I'm playing it by myself, and I picked it up on my Switch, and I'm gonna play it one 40-minute bike ride at a time, and I'll get there. But I'm stoked. Like this is like I booted up just a couple of days ago, and it was really exhilarating to be like, no, I'm finally gonna get through this.
Yeah.
Everyone I've spoken to has said really good things about 9. And now it's on the Switch, which is kind of perfect for me personally playing games. Can't wait. I'm very excited.
Cool. Gary, what about you, man? What have you been playing?
I haven't really had much of a chance to play games. So I did put a little over an hour into Swords of Ditto, which I talked briefly about last week. It's a really fun looking Zelda clone. It kind of looks like Adventure Time, cartoons like that. Same sort of humor as well. For example, your warp points to get around the map faster are a kazoo. So you blow a kazoo, and then this buzz comes and takes you to the nearest kazoo stop. It's sort of half fantasy, half modern, crazy. The dialogue's very like teenager-esque, like it's full of meh and so what's and that sort of language. But so far I'm enjoying it. It looks like it's going to be short, but I'm not quite sure. It tells you the level of the last boss in terms of rank. Because there is a leveling up system. Basically, you destroy enemies to level up your sword. And it says that she's level 6, and I'm already level 2, and I've only put like an hour in. So I don't think it's going to be too long, and I'm sure that you start to level up a bit faster with some of the harder enemies. So it's going to be interesting to see exactly what it's got in store, because it looks like I've unlocked a lot of the world map already as well. So we'll see. But so far, I'm enjoying it.
Gotcha. And Jesse, you've been playing this too, right?
I tried. I played the first. I probably maybe have an hour in, and I really have no idea what's going on. It seems like they just drop me in and say, "Go get him." Like, oh, where? What? Huh?
Yep, that's exactly what I do. Yeah.
I it's like, obviously I'm not saying I wish it was more handholdy, but a little bit of direction would be nice. Like, I don't even know how to heal myself yet, other than eating food. And there's only a finite number of money I have at this point to buy food to heal myself. I think my save state is I'm at 1 heart with the beep, beep, beep background going on and like red pulsing on the sides because I'm almost dead. I kazooed back into town, and I'm like, now what do I do? So I'm confused.
Yeah, I have had the same criticism as you so far. Is that I was looking around the town and I couldn't find anywhere to heal other than buying food, and I thought, well, the food's fairly cheap, but you can only buy it once. So if there's it's stuff like cookies and milk and fries and stuff and hot dogs that you buy, but as soon as you buy one of them, that's it. They're sold out. So
I found
the
a few
healing's a bit
drops
strange.
killing enemies, and I've consumed them all. So I don't think I have much left of what's in my inventory. I'll have to go back and try it again, but
I mean, I don't know. It doesn't sound like a very glowing recommendation for the game so far, even from either of you.
yeah.
No, I've been really enjoying what I've played of it so far. The healing is a bit strange on it. I haven't found myself in that much danger that I've run into it too much. Maybe just once or twice. And the enemies do seem to drop food at a steady rate. But like I say, I'm not too far in. Jesse, I take it you're the same. So
Yeah, I think you're further than me.
it just depends on what it's like a bit further on. If it's going to stay the same and it's going to get harder, then it's going to be frustrating. But I'm not sure. Have you died in it at all yet, Jesse?
No. Outside of
Okay.
the one mandatory death, no.
Yeah, I'm not sure if that's going to be a thing that happens in it. You see, and I think that death might be a mechanic in it, but I'm not sure because I haven't died yet.
Yeah, I was worried about that too because I have heard it's was kind of roguelike-ish, kind of like
Yeah.
Rogue Legacy, where you'll die and you'll play as another character that takes the mantle.
So to put this into context, because obviously we've kind of made it a bit confusing. I wouldn't say it's a spoiler because it's at the very start of the game, but they throw you into a field with like this ghost, which is a dung beetle, which basically says, right, here's the sword. You are the sword of the island. You're the hero. Now go get the bad guy. So you run to go get the final boss, and they kill you outright. And then they're like, oh, yep, I screwed up. I chose the wrong person. So the dung beetle then chooses someone else. I think it's 100 years later.
100 years later.
Yeah. It's like, yeah, I screwed up the first time. Okay, I get it. I picked the wrong person. But here's a new guy. Here's a sword. Go get him.
Wow.
So there is humor in that sort of thing.
They're like, gee, someone said, yeah, your last sword didn't last very long. So hopefully this one does better.
Yeah, and the sword level, the thing that makes me think that the death is going to be a mechanic in it is because they say your sword levels up, not you, your sword levels up, and that's what makes me think that it's going to be rogue light, very light on the rogue, but I think it's going to have that element where if you die, you come back as a different character, especially being as my main character looks nothing like the one on the art as well. So I think that might be a hint.
I think
Also,
some random generation going on.
yeah, especially because the loading screens are like a different person's face every time as well. Makes me think that that's what's going to happen.
Well, what you need to do now is just
Die.
test your theory out. Die.
Yeah, I'm sure it'll happen eventually because some of the enemies I've started running into now have started getting very hard. So. Also, I don't know if you found it, but there is a pay to get an extra lives thing as well, which I saw.
I don't think I saw that yet.
It's very early, so you must be incredibly early in the game.
Right.
So yeah, we'll talk more about this hopefully next week if I manage to get any time in at all. So I've got a uni assessment in, so personal time is at an all-time low for the next 2-3 weeks. But I'm really enjoying it so far. Jesse, it'd be interesting to see if you enjoy it as much as me in the end.
Yeah, I'm wanting to like it because especially if it's a Zelda-like. So, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah. You've been playing a couple other games though.
Yeah, Treasure Stack was on sale for half off, so like $10 instead of $20. So I picked that up went through the tutorial, tried to play a game, and again, I don't have a grasp on that concept. It's, I'm trying to concentrate on the keys and the locks, but I'm not. By the time I realize what's going on, I'm already buried myself so deep. So I only played the one game, so I haven't gotten back to try to figure it out again. And I definitely didn't try it online yet, because that would have been
that
horrible.
one. I'm just going to go ahead and say that game does not look like it's for me at all. It's very reminiscent of Wario's Woods, and playing Wario's Woods to me is like, having stomach virus. So,
Yeah, like I heard, some of the patrons were talking about it might be a good game, pre-show game to play sometime, but not enough people own it to make it worth the while. So maybe, if other people do like it, while it's on sale for half off, now's your chance to pick it up and try it for yourself.
yeah.
And then, of course, I've been playing more of Picross S3. I don't remember how far I was when I last talked about it, but I finished the color mode. I'm about a third to a half of the way through the main Picross mode. And it's more of the same of the stuff that I like. So that's like my go-to game of, I need to take a 5-minute mental break from work. So I'll do 3 or 4 puzzles and then go back to work.
Yeah. Awesome.
That's all I got.
Okay. Well, this week I finished up Cuphead. So I beat the devil.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty cool moment. My son and I both finished the game about a day apart. And then I decided that wasn't good enough, and I decided to go through all the run and gun levels and do the pacifist version of those, which is getting all the way through to the end without killing a single enemy.
You get a lot of points doing that in our tournament.
Is really, really, really hard to do. But I managed to finish it up. Let's see, what day was it? I think it was like Tuesday morning. The electric company showed up and was removing a electric pole on my side of the house and blocked me in my driveway, so I couldn't get to work. So I played Cuphead.
How convenient.
And did all the running guns and finished that up. That is such an amazing game. And I love Cuphead so much. I'm ready for the DLC and the new island and all that good stuff that's coming. So the other thing I've been playing is, of course, SteamWorld Quest. And love it. Already talked a lot about that. But played SteamWorld Heist because I had it and had not finished it up. So I dove back into the backlog to finish up SteamWorld Heist.
You playing on 3DS or a different system?
I had it on the Switch, actually. It was a review copy that we got a long time ago.
Heist is on the Switch?
Heist is on the Switch.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
I thought only Dig 2 was on it before Quest.
No, Dig 1, Dig 2, and Heist are all on the Switch, and they're all in sale at the minute as well.
Wow, I did not know that. Okay, good to know. Because I played Heist on the 3DS, and I kind of wanted to thought about replaying it on an HD system to see the better art, better quality art.
It looks really good. I mean, it is what it is, but I really enjoyed Heist for what it was, but I do have to, like, near the end it got to be a big drag. Mainly in like the last.
Oh, that came out before
1/3 of the game.
Late December 2017.
Yeah, like the last third of the game, like I felt like, I think it was 11 hours after I finished it, and I didn't do everything, but I kind of felt like there were some things that were very arbitrary about the game. Like, you don't really have to have certain characters. You don't have to recruit certain characters because you have characters like, that can use light arms or heavy arms or whatever. And once you get those and you start leveling them up, there's no reason to use anybody else.
Right.
There's a ton of emphasis put on hats for absolutely zero reason. which I didn't like. Okay, I'll put a hat on my character. Whoop-de-doo. Um, the
Yeah, 'cause
final boss fight.
you knock the hats off of your opponents and then can pick them up.
Yeah, the final boss fight was infuriatingly hard, um, and it came down to just being lucky, really, to me. So I was really glad to finish.
I don't remember any of the specifics of the game anymore since it's been so long. But I just looked it up and it's on sale for $6.
Yeah, it right now there's a lot of like I think all the Steam World games except Quest are on sale. I mean, it's good, and it like if you're wondering what it is, it's a physics based shooter. It's a physics based squad based turn based shooter. That's a lot of based.
In 2D.
But you basically you take a squad of anywhere from 2 to 4 Steam mechs into a randomly generated ship and loot and pillage it, and even go on. By the end, you're saving the world, and it does tie into Steam World 1 and 2, Dig 1 and 2. So that there is a tie to that. And I'm sure there's a Quest tie as well. That's why I wanted to finish it up before I started Quest. And maybe that's why I felt like it was a drag toward the end. But overall I would recommend it. But just to understand that like it is what it is. You go in, you aim, you shoot. You go through all the turns and you get to do it again and again and again. And sometimes it can just kind of get a little bit draggy.
I do remember it being satisfying when you can get that bank shot to work. You hit him in the back of the head, beat him, the guy in the back of the head.
The way I ended up finishing the game, I had the original character who is the captain. I use her, and there's also a character from SteamWorld Dig 2 that appears in this game that you can control. Finn, the little computer screen guy that follows your character around in SteamWorld Dig 2. He gets a junkyard body in this one. He was DLC when it first released. I don't think I picked up the DLC. The heist version for Switch is the Ultimate Edition, so it has everything. I had him. I had a weightlifter Russian guy who could use like lobbers and explosives, and then I had like an old like sea captain robot with a peg leg, and that was my final party. And I had just leveled them up way far. And those are the ones I ended up using.
Yeah, I remember liking that heavy robot. For what again,
I would recommend it. It's $6 right now. I know it sounds like we're kind of putting it down, but I think I was just kind of pressing through it quickly so I could get to Quest, and that's why I feel the way I do. So I don't know, like. You can try it for yourself again. It's
for $6, I might pick it up again.
Yeah, I mean it's totally worth it for $6. Let's move on and let's hit our community spotlight real quick. And guys, it's been a while since we visited the community spotlight. This is where we highlight your comments on social media, questions or topics, but also if we have a guest on the show, we allow them to tell us all about what they're doing in the realm of podcasting or YouTube or whatever. And so this week, like you've heard, we have Steven from Engaged Family Gaming with us. We're so excited to have him. Love their content. And so Steven, why don't you tell us first and foremost what you guys do, but also where we can find you and subscribe to you and keep up with you.
Sure. Happy to. Where to start? Well, I mean, first off, this isn't my first time on your show. So some of your listeners may even remember me from last year, right before E3. But so EngagedFamilyGaming.com is a website on the internet where parents like myself and my co-hosts, we talk about games for families to play together. And by games, I mean both video games and board games. We're one of the few places, we were one of the few places when I started 7 years ago, they kind of covered both. That's actually becoming a little bit more popular now. But I like to think I was a pioneer. with my coonskin hat and all. So we have a website where we do written content.
Does
have
the
a pod.
general get a hard hat?
Nope, the general does not. She doesn't need one because everyone's too scared to shoot at her. She runs the world. But good question. So we have a podcast that's every week. We alternate episodes. So one episode will be video games, the other will be board games. And we actually partner with another kind of similar website called superparent.com. Their editor-in-chief, Amanda Farrow, is one of my permanent co-hosts. And we rotate through. We have guests, have a good old time. But I also do a podcast on my own called the EFG Daily Commute that I actually record while driving into work. And I publish 2 to 3 of those a week, just talking about whatever is going on. Sometimes I have done a few movie reviews, but most of the time it's just talking about whatever is happening in the video game space that strikes me. And it's usually a 10 to 15 minute podcast, real quick, just to talk about things. Don't worry, I don't hold my phone while I drive. I put it in my center console. Everything's fine. A lot of people, when they hear that I record a podcast while I drive, assume that I'm like being very unsafe. And I assure you, I don't. I'm not crazy for that reason. We like I said, we talk about video games and board games. I've been doing this for about 7 years, which is crazy now that I really think about it.
Yeah.
I think we lost Gary.
Yeah, he's been in and out.
Yeah, his computer's probably acting up again. But yeah, 7 years is a long time to do this.
Yeah. But it's it was a good idea when I started. It was my wife's idea actually, and I really can't imagine not doing it. It's given me such interesting access into the gaming world. I was able to go to E3 for a couple of years. I speak at PAX East pretty regularly. I get invited to be a judge at local gaming conventions. Being able to have those experiences, that's some of the best part of running a site like this and doing what we do. But now my kids are getting old enough that they want to participate with me. I do a bunch of Facebook Live videos on our Facebook page, and my kids want to participate and they want to help me make content. And that's a lot of fun. Being able to sit on a live video and crack jokes with my 10-year-old, and I have a piranha plant from Mario puppet, and I do a show on Wednesday nights where I tell jokes to my daughter with the puppet. We just get to mess around, and it's been a wild ride, and I get to meet guys like you and other content creators, and we get to talk about our favorite things in the world. This is just a wild ride.
Awesome. So where can we find you if we want to, where can our listeners find you if they want to interact with you? I'm talking social media, YouTube,
Sure.
All that.
So the absolute best thing right now would be to like our page on Facebook, for 2 reasons. One, that's where we end up being the most active, but also we are moving in the direction of 2,000 followers on our 2,000 likes on our Facebook page. So if you just go to facebook.com/engagefamilygaming and like that page, we post all sorts of stuff. I have a community manager. His name's Jeff. He's a great guy. He posts awesome content on our Facebook page every day. They try and get breaking news where we, kind of gather it from other sites. We post some really funny memes, neat discussion topics, and that's the best place to go. If you're interested in joining our group, we do have a community page for like-minded parents that just want to talk about the games from our childhood, but also to ask each other questions. And you can get there by going to engagefamilygaming.com/community. Other than that, if you search Engaged Family Gaming on a social media platform, we are there. If it wasn't those 2 Facebook things, I'm active on Twitter, And also Instagram. We do a lot of cool pictures of some of the board games we play, and you get a bit of a behind the scenes look at what it's like to be a content creator with 3 kids that all want to help make stuff. By the way, it's nuts. So yeah, those are the best places to reach me.
Absolutely nuts. I like as a parent who struggles with my kids wanting to be YouTube superstars all the time. Like that's their main goal in life.
Yep.
Like I'll let my son or my daughter help with a video or two here or there. But it's absolutely nuts. My kids love that I'm a part of this show. They tell everybody, and sometimes it's like, guys, that's like, that doesn't need to be the first thing you tell people, like, oh, my dad, he's on Nintendo Dads. He does a podcast and he's on YouTube, which I mean, they're proud of it. Like they get it. They think it's really cool, but, I've been hesitant to include them in more things, because of lots of reasons. But I love that you guys don't just hit video games, that y'all hit board games too. Board gaming is a huge hobby of mine that I have. We go, in March every year. There's a huge gaming convention called Tennessee Game Days, here, in our state, where it's literally board gaming for 3 days.
Sure.
And my wife and I, this was our 4th year to go, and the 2nd year that we've brought friends with us, that we have gotten into the board gaming hobby. Pretty soon our kids will be old enough to go, as well, which I think is pretty exciting. One of these days they'll be running around the halls up there too. But in fact, those friends that we meet very regularly on weekends to play board games and stuff like that. We were talking before the show, my current obsession with that is Wingspan. But I've gotten a few new ones lately that I haven't got to try out that I'm really excited to get into. But we like games at home that, like with my kids, that all of us can play that are really. We've been playing a lot. I don't know if you've ever heard of the game Ice Cool.
Yes.
We've been playing a lot of Ice Cool lately.
Mm-hmm.
The Super Mario Brothers Power Up Power Up card game.
Yep.
We've been playing a lot of that, which is really fun, and also on brand for those of you who are out there. There's also a Super Mario Level Up game that we have played a lot of. I haven't played it recently, but it's good. USAopoly does both of those and sent us a version of it over, which was neat.
That's the USAopoly is they just kill it. So if you're USAopoly, I mean, are you? And I know before the show you were talking about how you and your wife are Kingdom Hearts fans, not necessarily of 3. I'm sure that you guys have explored that on the show. Did you see that they're putting out a Talisman Kingdom Hearts later on this year?
We did, and looking forward to seeing some reviews of that before maybe I dip into it.
I will be sure to tell you all about it. I was fortunate enough to head to New York Toy Fair in February, and I saw it behind closed doors.
Cool.
And it looked real cool. Like I walked by, and I'm pretty sure they were going to show me, but like I did a triple take, and like my eyes like bulged out of my head like a cartoon wolf, and I was like, is that Kingdom Hearts Talisman? And they were like, yeah, it's embargoed to hell, so you can't talk about it for a while. And I was like, can I take a picture? And they were like, if you want to let us break your phone. And I was like, all right, well, I guess not. But it was, I mean, yeah, they make some great stuff. But yeah, no, I mean, I go back to Ice Cool. For those listening, and you guys, I don't know if you two, the other guys, play board games. Ice Cool is a flicking game where you are trying to move penguins around a frozen high school, trying to get them through doors so that they can collect fish that are hanging from the top of the door.
Yeah.
And the best part of this is, and this is why it's worth going on YouTube and looking up Ice Cool trick shots.
Yes.
because it's kind of like billiards, the way that you kind of strike these penguins and the way that they're set up. And so like they allow trick shots. So like if you can hit them so that they like bounce up over the walls, it's totally legit. And there's like a whole subculture of ice cool players who can do these insane trick shots and they figured out how to do some crazy stuff. Like, it is worth looking at Ice Cool. They just sent me a copy of Ice Cool 2 so I could play it, so that we could try and give a demo of the 8-player version. Because
wow.
if you stack them both together, you can play up to 8 players. And apparently it's pretty nuts. But you need like a giant table to play it on because the board gets massive.
Yeah, and worth mentioning too here to people who may not be familiar with this, the board is actually the box of the game. So it's a 3D, like it's a 3D game. It rises up off the table. You have like little clips that hold it together, and then the penguins are like these plastic penguins that have weights in the bottom of them. So they're kind of like shuffleboard pucks in a way, but they're penguins. So you can flick them up over, and the mechanic in the game is everybody is running from one player who is trying to catch everybody else.
Because they're the hall monitor, of course.
Yeah, they're the hall monitor.
Everybody's got to get away from the narc. You know, like no, it's so dumb. Like it has no right to be as good as it is.
Right.
I think that's the story of that game, right? Like it should be super dumb, and we should hate every minute of it because whatever. But it's just super fun, and it's silly because you're flicking penguins around a frozen high school. And that's the thing about board games that's really interesting is when we started Engaged Family Gaming, it was supposed to be a video game site, purely up and down, just video games. And then over time, I had, because when you start a website and you don't have a budget, you ask your friends, right? That's just the way it works. And so somebody, one of my friends was like, hey, I'll write for you, but I really only want to write about board games. And so I figured like once every couple of months we'd post a board game thing. But it turns out that kind of exploded. Like the, you go where the traffic goes in some cases, and somebody wrote a review of Ticket to Ride, and I was like, all right, well, maybe I should just try this because it sounds pretty awesome. Yeah. And so I bought it on Amazon, and then I had a problem because now I don't have
gateway game. I love it.
And
that's Carcassonne and Ticket to Ride were my gateway games into board gaming, and now 100 games later, literally, here I am.
Yeah, we're not much into board gaming here, mainly because it's hard for us to find time where everyone's together. But one of the last board games we bought, I don't know have you heard of Sea Jump?
No, but I'm going to look it up right now.
It's a computer programming board game. So as you play the game, you put these tokens on the board, which changes the program on the board that you follow. So you take different paths depending on certain situations. Now, it's kind of I don't think it's not that greatly designed. There's one section of the board where the rules are confusing of how the flow is supposed to go. And it was like I checked found a website, found a fact to find out how it's supposed to be handled, and it's like the number one thing. So I'm not the only one that had complaints about that section of the game. But it's been probably 4 years since we tried playing this. Because my son, who is the biggest gamer outside myself, didn't care about this game at all. I was hoping to try to introduce something that might show him some programming and logic, which is what I do for a living. But it didn't really work for him. We should pull it out and try it again sometime.
Well, you gave it a shot, and that's what matters.
Yeah. We could probably sit and talk about this all night, but man, we are extremely thankful that you have come on the show tonight, and you've added so much, and we are just really thrilled to have you back on. And fans of this show, we want to ask you to go right now and check out Engaged Family Gaming on Twitter, on Facebook, on YouTube. Go hit these guys up and enjoy their content. We're extremely happy to have you guys on and everything.
After the show, I'm planning on looking up the ice cool trick shots. to see
Yeah,
what
you
that's
gotta
all
look up the
about.
ice
You need
school.
to.
You gotta look up the ice school trick shots. I should probably just share some of that stuff on my. I'll put that in the queue with Jeff. He's always looking for stuff that's neat.
Good deal.
And I really do appreciate you guys having me on the show. I mean, it's this is my second time. Can't wait to come back.
Yeah.
Hopefully it won't be a year next time. You guys do great work. I love the the camaraderie and you guys giving each other crap on Twitter. Big fan of that. So
Good deal.
thank you very much for including me every
Well,
so often.
Man, we would love to have you back sometime. We're going to close out the show right now with some questions from social media, from Twitter and over on patreon.com. Earlier today, we asked you guys for your topics and questions, and we don't want to ignore those. We've already hit a couple of these, but let's talk about a few. Noah at Herm Noah asked us this: do you think Cuphead will sell better on Switch?
Yes. Because
Yes.
everything sells better on Switch.
Yeah. We alluded to that earlier in the show.
Yeah, I'm not. Yeah, do we know what Xbox numbers are? Because they don't.
No.
They're not very forthcoming with that sort of thing.
Nope.
So,
I'd
they've
still
had,
put money down.
well, they've had such a head start. I don't know if Switch will
Cuphead
actually
has
pass them.
before somebody actuallys us, okay? Cuphead has sold 3 million copies as of August 2018
On what?
on Xbox.
Okay. Oh, 3 million? Switch will blow that
No,
out.
it's not going to sell better. No,
I put money
You
on
don't
it.
think it's going to?
3 million's a lot. I mean, it
Okay,
became a
well-
phenomenon, didn't it? And I think that time has sort of
Yeah,
passed a
for-
bit now.
For digital
This is a
only,
combined,
I'm not
sales
sure.
from Steam and Xbox.
Oh yeah, I forgot it was on Steam too. I was just thinking Xbox. Yeah, I'm not
Well,
sure.
I mean, he said, is it going to, I mean, so the question was, is it going to sell best on Switch? So are we combining Xbox and PC sales?
well,
I mean-
it shouldn't be.
Well, typically
but,
in the case of those indies, they do.
Okay.
yeah.
You know, they will
Yeah,
say this is the platform it sold best on.
So yeah, digital only
It's
games
it's
very
tough, isn't
rarely
it?
sell a
Because-
million. So I don't know.
It's really
Thank
tough
you.
because of Xbox and PC sharing the the purchase. So it's hard to say whether it should be combined or not. If it's and I'm guessing it's because that line is really blurred. So if it's combined, then
Well, I think
Because
a
of that
Steam
fact.
purchase can't be played on an Xbox, but an Xbox can be played on a PC through their system.
yeah.
Right. But does it count as two purchases? Who knows? I think let's reframe the question a different way. It will sell well on the Switch.
Oh, I
I
mean-
think that's a given. I don't
It
think
will sell
it'll be a
well on the
disappointment.
Switch. And if there is a Cuphead 2, unless there is some crazy lockdown on that, you will see it day and date with the Xbox. Which I think, is there a Cuphead 2 is a foregone conclusion at this point. Yes, there is a Cuphead 2 coming. And it will launch on the Nintendo Switch. It'll be day and date.
Unless
But-
Microsoft buys Studio MDHR. I mean,
But they really like Nintendo right now.
sure, but they like millions of dollars.
They also like money.
I mean, 'cause who
which is
doesn't?
a good point.
Like, I mean,
And
who
two,
doesn't like that Microsoft money?
I mean, like, keep in mind that there's still like a downloadable content pack coming that is a brand new character and an entirely new island with new bosses as well.
Yeah.
So that's out there too, and that will invigorate sales on the Switch again when that happens. Michael Burgett, good friend of the show, asked us this: what do you think would be considered, quote, success for Detective Pikachu at the box office? And do you think that we will see a regular live action Pokemon film if Detective Pikachu is a success?
Well, yeah. I'm not sure what the budget is for this movie. That definitely it would be a factor in where it's considered a success.
I'm gonna look that up.
I would say it's already a success just on the Rotten Tomatoes score. I think that it's going to go hand in hand with the box office sales. I think it's going to do well, but I don't think it's going to spawn a lot of live action Pikachu and Pokemon films. I think Detective Pikachu is kind of a one and done thing. And the interesting thing about this is the fact that as far as video game films go, it's probably based on the weakest game out of the lot, but it's come out as the strongest film. Because Detective Pikachu was okay. It was. I enjoyed what it did, but you would by no stretch ever put it in your top 10 game of the year. Compared to a Mario Brothers and Assassin's Creed or a Prince of Persia or a Doom. So it's kind of interesting that it's ended up being as good of a film as what people are saying. I haven't seen it myself, but as people are saying, and the score's reflecting. But I think it's going to be a success in terms of money, but I don't think it's going to spawn sequels and stuff like that.
So Detective Pikachu's reported budget is around $150 million. To put that in perspective, Captain Marvel had a budget of $152 million, and Aquaman had a budget of $160 million. So this is major money spent on this movie.
Okay.
Yeah. This movie's it's gonna make $1 billion, dude. I mean, it's gonna, because of Japan, because of China. I mean, this is gonna do really well worldwide, and it's gonna have a super long tail. Whereas, like, Captain Marvel had an end date to when it was gonna be making a lot of, you know what I mean? It had to be front loaded, and it was destined to be front loaded because everybody wanted to get ready for Endgame. Pikachu's, I mean, it would not surprise me if Pikachu's in theaters for most of the summer. They can just leave it there.
Sure.
And
yeah,
kids are going to be watching it because it's Pokemon.
Oh, it's going to get, like, I have no doubt it's going to make its budget back, and possibly double that. I'm not going to say $1 billion, but
you know what's crazy is when you say it used to be you say $1 billion, that was like a hyperbolic, like really high number, and now it's like not really hyperbolic anymore.
Oh, no. Yeah.
It's going to make a stupid amount of money.
Endgame made that in a weekend.
Well, but Endgame is Endgame.
Yeah, I agree. It's what's the word? It's not normal.
Success to answer Mikey's question. Success for Detective Pikachu is breaking even and doubling the budget, like making your money back and then getting to like 300,000. If it's 150 or I'm sorry, if it's 150 million, it's 300 million.
I think that'll definitely make that.
Also,
just
success is not so much money as it is money and ratings, right? Money and reviews, because they are working to break the stigma of video games can't be good movies. So if they get away with a halfway decent movie, then sure, I honestly don't know at this point that we'll ever see like Pokemon the movie, but I think it's a foregone conclusion for Detective Pikachu 2.
Yeah, I don't think a sequel will be specifically Detective Pokemon 2 because the story pretty much fully fulfills itself.
Gotcha.
But I will be surprised if they don't do another live action Pokemon of some sort in the future.
Talking about success, there's one thing that we're failing to see as well is that Ryan Reynolds is a marketing master. So regardless of being a good actor or a chiseled, handsome man, he's also incredibly good at marketing. And I think that this film leak that he did with the Pikachu dancing for 2 hours is so mind-blowingly good.
I fell for that, thinking it was legitimate. Someone leaked the movie. I stayed away from that link. I didn't want to click that link until I saw in an article later that that was just a gag, an hour and 40-minute gag.
And that was Ryan Reynolds' gag, and that alone has like blew up Twitter for the last couple of days. So
yeah, the hype for this movie has definitely been there. it's going to make money. So I think that, I'm like Jesse, you'll see another Pokemon movie. I just don't know what form it's going to be. And it's not going to be, excuse me, I don't think it's really going to be the boy leaves home, collects Pokemon, defeats the Elite Four, the movie.
Yeah. Well, actually, it wouldn't surprise me if they did go with Red with the next movie. But when the Pokemon Company was giving out the rights to this movie, they specifically didn't want another retelling of Red/Ash. They wanted something else.
Right.
So, but now that we know that this is the thing and this is going to be a successful thing, then they might go to a Red story.
It's just a question of how they can incorporate Ryan Reynolds into it, because at this point, Ryan Reynolds is inseparably connected with, like, he is Pikachu now. Like, you know what I mean? Like, because he's a marketing master. I mean, Gary was right. Like, he has succeeded, just like he's Deadpool, right? Like, nobody's gonna see, like, people are gonna look at Deadpool and see him forever because of what he's done. They did the same thing with Pikachu, which is a challenge, because if they tell Red and he's walking around with Pikachu, that Pikachu has to be Ryan Reynolds. But the issue is that Pikachu doesn't talk to anybody else. So how are they going to do that? I mean, it'll just be a very chatty internal monologue for Pikachu, like,
yeah.
I don't know how you do it.
I think it's, I don't know, like, I kind of see that as the same challenge as adapting the Hunger Games for the screen. Because I don't know if you've ever read the books, but the entire book is Katniss Everdeen's internal monologue. How do you write dialogue from that, right? I mean, it does not transfer over well, but it did. They made it work.
Listen, a talented director could do it. And frankly, if they just tore open the lore and just decided that Pokemon trainers can talk to Pikachu, I really wouldn't care, because it just means Ryan Reynolds being Ryan Reynolds.
See, I was totally thinking you were going, if they tore open the lore and went back and did a movie about the Great War and about all these things that are referenced about Pokemon fighting.
That might be a good movie.
Stuff. Oh, I would love that.
It'll probably never be touched in a game.
No.
But they couldn't necessarily include Ryan Reynolds.
Right. Unless all Pikachus sound like Ryan Reynolds.
Man, would that be confusing?
In their internal monologue. I don't know.
It's going to be that and Danny DeVito, isn't it? Just the two Pikachus, Ryan Reynolds, Danny DeVito, having a nice chat.
See, now that I've seen this movie or seen clips of this movie, I think Danny DeVito makes a much better Psyduck.
That's probably fair.
Yeah. At Scruffy Wookie, Andy Johnson asks us this. Now that we're almost 2.5 years into the Switch life cycle, what are some quality of life improvements you'd like to see?
I think we talked a little bit about this when we were talking about what we wanted to see in a Switch Pro.
Right. Better battery life and folders is really all I can think of at this point. Like folders, themes, and battery life. There you go.
eShop ratings and sorting.
Yeah, I can see that.
Better searching.
Gary, Steven, what about you? Things you want to see?
Can I get like a real D-pad?
No, you can't. No, sorry.
No, that's what I want though. That's what I want. You asked me what I wanted. I told you what I want. What did you? Is that one of the Nyko ones, or did you hack that one together?
It's a Nyko one.
This
is the Japanese import before.
I would like
that I ordered before we knew they were coming to North America.
I would like Nintendo to make one of those. I don't know why. Just so I can overpay for it, I'm sure.
Because they make the best D-pad in the business.
Yeah,
that's why.
Yeah.
Oh no, the Pro Controller that is not the best D-pad in the business.
No, I'm talking about historically. Historically, Nintendo makes the best D-pad in the business. Pro Controller is a dumpster fire.
I would like a true Joy-Con with a D-pad, and if they do that, I mean, yeah, the other stuff, folders, themes, a battery life. But even the battery life I can deal with. Like, very, very rarely do I run into a situation where the battery doesn't work. So those all sound great to me. I don't think there's anything like revolutionary. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd still like to see, and I think I've been saying this for probably 3 years now, but having Joy-Con that had the GameCube like analog click shoulders, so you can get GameCube games to run properly on it without bastardizing it.
Yeah. I'm down with that.
Yeah. One final comment here from Digital Age Gaming over on our Patreon. He asked this: we know it can be done, as some devs have added it. Also, way back before Switch added or Switch launched, Nvidia commented on the fact that devs would be able to choose. So, question is: should all third-party games have both a performance/graphical option? Should Nintendo try to push them in that direction? It's a great question.
Well, yeah, options are always nice. Some depending on the game, it might, just running, crappy at 30 frames a second is the best thing the Switch might be able to do. So having an option is pointless, because if you up the frame rate, it's going to be crappier, and if you make it even better looking, its frame rate's going to tank. So the mediocre is the best you can do. So if the games that can handle it, sure, but not all games I don't think will.
Yeah, and that's a great technical answer to that, because I don't know technical stuff. I just know that like PCs have been able to do that for years, right? I mean, you can go in and make it as high res or low res as you want,
right,
in some cases. I don't know that we've ever seen a home console do it.
Like using like Xbox One X and PS4 Pro type of stuff I've heard of. You can have better textures, but it stays at 30 frames, or you can stick with a 1080p rendering at 60 frames. So if you want the 4K or so you can choose where you want the performance to go.
Yeah, it's just interesting. I mean, let's get back to the heart of the question. I mean, should Nintendo push third-party devs to include that?
No. Third party, I trust the devs to know what the ideal technical specifications should be for the games to make them run. The reality is third-party developers are either bastardizing their games to get them onto the Switch anyway. I mean, we saw what happened with Mortal Kombat and the Crypt and things like that. Like they're making sacrifices to get it onto the machine because it is underpowered, and that's only going to get worse when we move into the next generation. Or they're small teams that really probably don't need that kind of hassle, and it's just more friction will make it harder to get games onto the system. Let the developers make the game that they want, that they need, that they know what the best option should be. My only counterpoint to my own point is that if Switch somehow released like a Switch Pro where there was more juice, where maybe that wiggle room might be more valuable, then opening that up to different developers might be worth it. But right now, there's just so little juice available. Let the developer. They know better than me. Like, I would waste those options. We talk about PCs have all sorts of, sliders and stuff. The Switch isn't a PC, it's a tablet. So we need to treat it like that and just have the developers micromanage every frame and just deal with it.
Yeah, I think think back to when Doom came out on the Switch, right? And everybody was like, "Oh, it's so muddy," and then some other people were like, "But it runs great." Those devs, they knew what needed to happen, right?
Correct.
Panic Button knew what needed to happen to make that game run on the Switch. That's why it was such a good port. I wish more third-party devs that were porting games over to the Switch cared about the game's integrity as much as Panic Button did. Or does. I think that forcing devs to offer this, it looks good but it sucks, or it plays good and it looks sucky, option is a lose-lose situation. So I just think let devs make games, but devs, if you're listening, put some love into that, right? I mean, we all get it. The Switch is underpowered, but be realistic and do what you can and make it the best port. Because I even read today that the the Saints Row port, the Saints Row the Third that just came out for Switch is junk.
Wow.
That the guy who
wasn't that a PS3 game?
Yeah, and that was a badly done port. It just was not, the love was not there. So you can go read IGN's review. It was not kind. In fact, the tweet that it went out in said, "I was surprised and not in a good way."
Wow. Yeah, that's a 2011 game.
Yeah. So, I mean, as much as I would love a bunch of PS3 and Xbox 360 games to come over, if they're going to come over, I want them done right. I don't want it just done as a cash-in, right? Well, guys, those are all of our community spotlight questions. So we're going to put a bow on episode 229. And we want to thank you for hanging out with us and listening to the show. We especially want to thank Steven from Engaged Family Gaming for coming over and hanging out with us. And again, you are welcome here anytime.
All right. Well, I won't wait a year to hit you up on Twitter.
Please don't. Please don't. We want to.
Before we do our outro, I wanted to do a small announcement. Right now, all of our feeds are keyed off of VG Tribune's article. It generates a feed. In the short future, we're going to be trying to migrate that off of VG Tribune onto Castbox. So, I will keep both feeds synced for probably at least a month. But at some point, I'm going to stop updating VG Tribune, and hopefully by then, all your feeds should be automatically migrating to Castbox. If we find that there's problems, we'll talk about that when that time arises. You may have to unsub and resub to whatever your feed is, but that's kind of coming up. But we'll announce more when VG Tribune's postings will end.
Yeah. So Too Long didn't listen or didn't understand. Your podcast is going to get delivered the same way right now. It may change in the future. We're working on a new host, and it's going to update from both right now, apparently. But eventually VG Tribune will go away. If that causes you to have to unsubscribe and resubscribe, we'll tell you when to do that. And hopefully that won't happen. We want to, as we close out the show, we want to say a huge thanks to our Patreon producers, Chris Mears, John Blanco, Dave Ernsberger, and Timothy Off. You guys are awesome, as well as all of our patrons over at patreon.com/Nintendo Dads. Again, you can head over there, and for as little as $1 a month, you can make the dream work and change lives by providing Nintendo Dads content. And guess what, guys? We're now available on Spotify. So if you were listening to us on Google Play or iOS, the podcast app, and you would rather listen on Spotify, we are there as well. So go over and search for Nintendo Dads and help build up the community over there as well. You can follow us on all our social media. That's Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, at Nintendo Dads. You can email us at nintendodads@gmail.com. Follow us on Twitch and YouTube by searching Nintendo Dads. Call in and leave a voicemail at 929-25-NDADS or 929-256-3237. And if you want to buy some sweet Nintendo Dads merchandise, head over to tiny.cc/Nintendo Dads store. It's all lowercase, and you can get yourself some sweet swag. Big thanks to OC Remix for the music used throughout the show, and Carter Johnson and Adam Leonard for all our sweet art. For me, for Jesse, for Gary, and for Steven, this has been episode 229 of Nintendo Dads. Bye-bye.
All right, fellas. I gotta get up for work in 3 hours.
Nintendo Dads.
Wobble Puffet? Wobble Buffet?